You're the fixer, the one holding your whole family together, the one everyone calls at 2 in the morning when their life falls apart. You quietly handle the missed mortgage payments, the hospital bills, everyone else's meltdowns while swallowing your own. You probably think your drive, your independence, your need to have everything under control is just your personality. It isn't. It's a survival loop that started when you were a kid, built to carry weight you were never meant to carry alone. Picture a 12-year-old named Emily. She makes dinner most nights. She gets her little brothers ready for school. She manages her mom's anxiety before anyone else in the house is even awake. And what do the adults around her say? What an old soul, so mature for her age. Look how well she stepped up after her dad left. Underneath that praise is something a lot darker. When a child gets pushed into acting like the adult, their brain doesn't just cope, it starts rewiring how it grows up. Therapists have a name for this: parentification. It's not about chores. Taking out the trash or helping with groceries is normal childhood stuff. Parentification is a full role reversal. The child doesn't just help, they carry the emotional, financial, and practical survival of the whole family. Sometimes that's instrumental, managing bills, translating paperwork, basically raising their younger siblings. Sometimes it's emotional, becoming the stand-in therapist for a parent drowning in depression, addiction, or grief they never processed. On the surface, that sounds like a brutal but effective way to build strong, self-sufficient adults. Struggle early, get tough. Sounds logical enough. Until you look at what this actually does to a developing nervous system. So, why would a child's brain sacrifice its own development to protect a parent who can't cope? The answer starts in the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal system. Basically, your body's built-in alarm network. When a household is in crisis, a parent battling addiction, a brutal divorce, 3 minimum wage jobs just to keep the lights on, a kid's environment turns unstable fast. Go back far enough in human history, and the logic gets brutal and simple. Isolation meant death. To a child's primal brain, a parent who can't function isn't just sad. It reads as a direct threat to survival. If the protector fails, the kid is exposed. So the brain does something remarkable. It floods the body with stress hormones. It matures the threat detection system early, sometimes reshaping the amygdala, the brain's fear center, years ahead of schedule, while other parts of emotional development get put on hold. The clinical history backs this up. In 1948, psychoanalyst Melita Schmeideberg noticed that emotionally starved parents would unconsciously lean on their own kids for support. By the 1970s, family therapist Ivan Bazormany-Nagy gave the pattern its name. Today, researchers scanning data across dozens of countries have found that in some high-stress environments, close to a third of kids are carrying responsibilities their development was never built for. But this isn't a new discovery. Long before anyone could scan a brain, old stories were already describing it. In the Hebrew Bible, the Book of Ruth tells of a young widow who gives up her own future to stay with and support her grieving mother-in-law, Naomi. Centuries later, the Book of Galatians put the same instinct into 5 words: bear one another's burdens. Different eras, different language, same observation. When the people meant to hold a family up start to buckle, someone younger often steps into the gap. You see this everywhere in the US right now. Kids in immigrant households translating legal and medical paperwork at 9 years old. Oldest siblings running the house because there's simply nobody else. And it usually lands hardest on one particular kid, the eldest daughter. It's shown up enough in American households that people have started calling it eldest daughter syndrome, the pattern where the firstborn girl quietly gets promoted to co-parent long before anyone thinks to ask if she wants the job. The message getting written into a young nervous system through all of this is dead simple. If I'm useful, we survive. If I stop, something breaks. It's a brilliant strategy for a 7-year-old. It becomes a serious problem for the 35-year-olds that kid eventually turns into. You'd assume kids who grow up fast turn into the most grounded, confident adults in the room. The research says the opposite. That childhood hypervigilance doesn't switch off just because the crisis ends. A nervous system shaped by chronic early stress starts treating rest itself like a threat. To this brain, slowing down doesn't feel peaceful, it feels like negligence. Trauma therapists who work with parentified adults describe a blunt internal rule these clients live by. Worth equals usefulness. Stop being useful, and some part of them expects to be left behind. That rule quietly shapes entire careers. It's a big part of why so many parentified kids grow up into ER doctors, trial lawyers, crisis managers, first responders, jobs where the stakes are always high and something's always on fire. Their nervous system has been rehearsing exactly this since elementary school. Chaos for them is oddly comfortable, but underneath the competence, a lot of them are quietly suffocating. Researchers call it the action gap. These are the classic overfunctioners, flawless when solving someone else's crisis, completely stuck when it comes to their own. Someone who can manage a 100-person team at work might feel a wave of dread just trying to book their own dentist appointment. They can hold everyone else's world together and still feel like asking for a single favor is physically impossible. They're often deeply lonely, surrounded by people who depend on them for everything, which raises a much bigger question about what's actually driving all that capability in the first place. This kind of adaptation isn't just a wiring glitch. It's one of the more remarkable things a young brain can do. Think about what's actually happening. A child's mind will rearrange its own neural pathways, trading its own peace of mind to keep someone else safe. That's not a small thing. It points to something close to genius built into how humans are put together, a capacity for sacrifice that shows up before a kid can even explain what sacrifice means. You see the same instinct echoed across human tradition, long before neuroscience had a name for it. Ruth giving up her future for Naomi, Galatians telling believers to carry each other's weight, Buddhist teaching describing someone who delays their own peace to stay and help everyone else find theirs first. Different centuries, different worlds, all circling the same idea. Something in us is built to protect the people we love, sometimes at real cost to ourselves. Whether that points to something bigger than biology is the kind of question worth sitting with rather than rushing to answer. What's harder to sit with is what this does to the person carrying it. The adult who was once that kid is still chasing a sense of safety they never actually got to feel as a child. They keep pouring from a cup that was never full to begin with. Somewhere along the way, a lot of them start believing they're only worth loving if they're useful. Stop fixing, stop producing, stop carrying the weight, and some part of them still expects to be left. They survived the chaos, but somewhere in the middle of surviving it, a piece of who they actually are got left behind too. Which might sound like ancient history until you notice this exact pattern playing out in your own life right now. Look at the modern hustle culture, the burnout everyone jokes about and nobody fixes, the late-night doom scrolling, the workaholism, the quiet self-medicating that so many high-functioning adults do just to keep going. A lot of that isn't only a reaction to a full inbox or a tight budget. For plenty of people, it's an old nervous system still trying to outrun a threat that isn't there anymore. If you're the oldest daughter still managing your parents' emotions from 3 states away, or the son who became the man of the house at 10, your exhaustion isn't a character flaw. It's the bill for a debt you never should have owed in the first place. You built real armor to survive your childhood. It worked. It kept you and your family standing. but you're living in a peacetime body still fighting a war that ended years ago. Healing this doesn't mean losing your edge. It means realizing you don't have to keep earning your place on Earth by fixing every broken thing around you. Here's something you can try today. The next time you feel that compulsive urge to fix a problem that isn't yours or jump in to manage someone else's meltdown, stop for 10 seconds. Try a slow 4-7-8 breath. In for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. That rhythm helps shift your body out of alarm mode and into something calmer. As you exhale, try saying quietly, "I'm allowed to just exist right now." It sounds small. For a nervous system that's been on duty since childhood, it's not. Now I want to hear from you. What was the moment growing up when you realized you were the one who had to be the adult in the room? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. If this kind of deep dive into how your mind actually got built is your thing, subscribe. There's a lot more of this coming.